Welcome to KeyboardBlues.com. This video is a quick overview of some of the highlights from Blues for Piano and Keyboard, Chapter 12. Hello and welcome back. This is David Sprunger from KeyboardBlues.com. Once again, we're going to be digging into some fresh new material on the keyboard. In this chapter, Chapter 12, we'll be taking apart a real traditional rhythm and blues gospel song, note for note, and we'll analyze all the blues riffs and all the music theory. We're going to go pretty deep in this lesson. When we're done, we're going to figure out how to put it all back together under your hands on your keyboard. Now, this lesson is jam-packed with over 20 new blues riffs. That's a lot to learn in one session. When you learn this many at once, it can really be a challenge. However, when you learn them in the context of a really fun song to play, it turns into just pure fun. In fact, one of my favorite quotes in life is from a fellow who said, "I never worked a day in my life." And the amazing thing is, this guy was working all the time. The trick is, he enjoyed so much what he was doing, he had a passion for what he was doing, that even though it was difficult, even though it was deep and advanced, he loved it, and he never felt like he was working. That's why we learn all these blues riffs and music theory in the context of fun songs, because then you're really interested and you're motivated to really go deep. One last thing, and then we'll jump right into the video. Because this video is an overview of some of the highlights from Chapter 12, I'll be playing a few different sample sections of the lesson. First, let's take a look at the video of the full song used in this lesson, Up to Speed. You'll be able to see all of the blues riffs that we'll be studying. In addition, you'll be able to see the solo section, where we're going to be studying how to put together a keyboard solo to really tear it up on the keyboard when it's your turn to shine. Now, here's a video of the full song showing everything that we'll be studying in Chapter 12. Enjoy!
Was blind, but now I see.
Now, there was a whole lot of stuff going on in that performance, but in the full version of this video lesson, there's a super slow motion video version of the full song, so you can really see exactly what's going on in detail. And remember, once we get to the section of the lesson where we're looking at each blues riff in detail, we'll study every single note in up-close, slow-motion detail. In addition, we'll study all of the music theory behind these riffs. There's lots to dig in here. Let's take a look at another sample from this lesson. This upcoming video is taken from the section where we'll simply go through all of the chords used in the song. Now, in this section, we won't be looking at any of the fancy blues riffs at this point. That will come later. This section simply goes through every chord in detail so that we can have a solid foundation on which we can build all these fantastic blues riffs. One other note, the full lesson includes a chord chart that you can print out and use as a worksheet as you study. Okay, here's that video.
In the intro, there are 4 chords in a row, and they're all slash chords. They sound like this. If you take this chord and you play it, you're bound to start another world war. Now, by itself, it's ugly, but together, when you
play them together, an amazing thing happens.
You start hearing where the chords are going instead of what they sound like individually. That's really, really important. There was a classical composer. His name was Paul Hindemith. You might want to check that out.
And his thing was, instead of focusing on how chords or notes sounded individually, he'd focus on where they were going.
And once you start thinking that way, it changes your perspective on music. Instead of hearing individual chords like this, you'll hear them like this. There's no other way to explain it except you have to start thinking linearly. Woo, can't say that with a mouthful of gum. Linearly instead of horizontally. Okay, so let's look at those 4 slash chords. G minor over D, and again slash chords. You know from.
Here's another sample of the video taken from the same section where we're studying through the chords used in this lesson.
Down to G. Then we go to a chord that has to be voiced a certain way or it just doesn't sound right. Woo! Let's look at that. Here's the root, right? Here's the 7th. Here's the 3rd, right? And the 5th, B7, normally would be here. Now, 99.999% of keyboard players never play a B7 plus 5. They'll play a B7, right? Let me play it with a B7. It sounds okay. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Ba-ba-ba sounds a little churchy, a little old-fashioned. But if you put that plus 5 in, it gets a little bit gritty. Okay? Going on, that saved a wretch like David Sprunger. Going on to E minor.
All right, now let's get to the good stuff. Remember, in this lesson, we're going to be studying through more than 20 new blues riffs on the keyboard. Here's a sample of the video taken from the section of the lesson where we're studying through blues riff number 9.
Riff number 9, up to speed, sounds like this. Fun little riff to play. A lot of interesting things about this little riff. Nice and slow, it sounds like this. Now, if you've been paying attention, riff number 5 in the right hand was exactly the same. The difference is the left hand is implying new chords underneath. It's so fun to play because you have new flavor without learning anything new. It's great if you don't have a huge brain or you just want to take the day off from thinking. This riff is nice. In the left hand, we're going from E minor, walking down to C7. And notice I'm just doing kind of a minimalist version here. I'm just playing the outside notes of each chord. Going on to C sharp diminished 7. Moving on to G over D. Okay, so then the right hand doesn't start right away. The left hand starts it. It's a great little riff. Riff number 9.
Let's take a look at another section from the video where we're looking at the blues riffs. Here's blues riff 17.
My favorite riff in the whole tune, riff number 17. Sounds like this up to speed. It's just kind of pushy. It pushes its way around. We're going from F7 to G7. One of the things I've found that I really like is when there's movement in the middle of the chord instead of just on the edges of the chord. For instance, watch this. So it's in the middle of the chord there, or in the middle of the voicing. You hear that? Down, buried in the middle of it all, there's movement. And it just makes for really good interest because your ear really can't figure out what's going on.
This has just been a quick overview of Chapter 12 from Blues for Piano and Keyboard. If you'd like to see more, come on over to keyboardblues.com. In this website, there's a wealth of online piano and keyboard lessons that you can dig into right away, including this lesson.
When I wake up and
Before you leave this site, though, would you do us a favor? If these lessons are valuable to you and you'd like to see more, would you just take a minute and leave a comment on the site that you're on right now? Or you can simply rate the video. Either way, it really helps us and enables us to post lessons just like this one, free of charge. Thanks!
mind